Hey everyone, welcome back to the channel. Now I know that was a stupid intro, but everyone remembers playing that game as a kid. The Floor is Lava. I think they even made a TV show and I was watching on Netflix and man, it's awful. But I think it's even called The Floor is Lava. But everyone remembers that game. And for us Pokemon investors / sellers, I guess we like to use the term, or could use the term, the floor is lava. Like, we don't want things hitting the floor. Now, when it comes to the term market floor, we're getting into some more maybe complex economics today, and I'm certainly no economist, so take my advice with a grain of salt, but here's the way I see it. So I guess the only true market floor in the Pokemon world is, or Pokemon trading card world, I should say, is probably really the price that, the lowest price that stores, whether it's online or face-to-face, like your local gaming store, can actually buy Pokemon cards for and Pokemon card products for. So I guess that would come from the distributor level, and that would maybe have a floor, like they would have a price to say, this is the lowest price we can sell you 40 cases of Scarlet and Violet Obsidian Flames. So I guess the distributor at some sense creates some sort of market floor, but then what's left once it gets in the wild, once it gets to storefronts, once it gets to online stores, and particularly when it essentially gets out of stock, is it's left to that free market economy. And without getting into too much detail, essentially, and some people watching this are probably incredibly experienced and maybe a lot more experienced than I am when it comes to sort of free market economies and more complex economics, but you've got this sort of huge relationship between sort of four factors: supply and demand, and also buyers and sellers. And in those four factors, you know, that's where we create this sort of, I suppose, price equilibrium, for lack of a better word, or the current market price of something. Now, as always, the seller would want to get something for as high as they possibly can, and a buyer would want to buy something for as low as they possibly can. Now, when you relate it to the Pokemon world, I've been watching these for a fair bit. I want to show you 3 examples of some products that I think, we're starting to see a real movement on in the Pokemon card world in terms of them moving up. Now, the first one I wanted to talk about is Chilling Reign. So I'm going to bring some eBay data up here from Chilling Reign, and we're going to jump in and search price low to high, and then I'm going to show you Australia only. Now, I know most people watching this are probably from the US, but I just want to show you what's happening down here in Australia, because supply is really starting to dwindle for Chilling Reign. Now, the cheapest you can find a booster box for at a buy it now price on eBay is currently 305 Australian dollars. Now, that's about 175 US. And if you keep scrolling through when it comes to Chilling Reign, you'll notice that, you know, you quickly, as you scroll through, you quickly push to 315. Then you quickly push to sort of 330. And then you're even moving as far north. If we keep scrolling down through Chilling Reign, you're even moving as far north to 350 Australian dollars buy it now price. Now, what will essentially happen when we relate it back to this floor, so to speak, is in that sort of free market sort of economy where price will find a point based on, you know, sellers wanting to achieve the highest price they can get and buyers wanting to achieve the cheapest price they can get. But this is essentially what happens. So when that cheapest box sells for Chilling Reign, which is currently $305, it's like the floor sort of gets moved. And as a seller, you don't want to bring that price down. You don't want to see that any lower. If you're holding that stock and supply is dwindling, you want it to start moving up. So once the 305 Australian dollar box sells, which is about 175 US, now I understand different markets have different sort of positions. Like in the US, I don't know, I reckon Chilling Reign boxes are cheaper than 175 buy it now US on eBay. I imagine they're somewhere around 135 or 140 maybe. Correct me if I'm wrong, of course, but then once the $315 box sells, you're left with the cheapest one on the market being $330. So what you can see, you get my point, is you start wiping out the floor, and eventually the roll-on effect is the cheapest one on the market is now $50 dearer than what it was 2 months ago. And I've seen this extremely clearly down here in Australia with Chilling Reign. And that's why I've been harping on about this set for a long time, because the floor, I can tell you now, 9 months ago in Australia, you could still buy these booster boxes for $190. If you went price low to high in Australia for Chilling Reign booster boxes, they were $190. I can guarantee it. They were, because I bought some. Now, it's very, very quickly moved up in the space of 9 months. The cheapest buy it now priced to $305. And if you compare that to US dollars, you know, you're sort of, your $195 is what, 105 US dollars a box? And now it's very quickly moved up to about 175 US dollars a box. I wanted to show you a second example, which I'll bring up on the screen here, which is Champion's Path. Another one where supply is sort of dwindling. And once we get that sort of, you know, distributor floor out of the way, and then just the free market takes over and this relationship between buyers and sellers takes place, you get to the point where Champion's Path is also sitting. By the way, stellar box. And as you can see up on the screen here, what's the cheapest one going for at the moment? About $150 buy it now in Australia is the cheapest you can pick up a Champion's Path ETB. And as we scroll through that 150, as you'll see, once that gets moved from the market and sold, and like I've clicked on these, there are only one for sale. It's not 150 and we have 48 of them for sale. It's one at $150. So once that's sold, it quickly moves up to your 160 price. You know, then it quickly moves up to 170 and then even 180. So the exact same example as Chilling Reign, Champion's Path will follow a similar trend. Once that floor is taken out of the market, so to speak, of the cheapest, or the buyer wanting to find the cheapest product at 150, eventually, as a buyer, you're left with the new cheapest price, that's if you're shopping on eBay, of 160. Now, a seller isn't just going to automatically drop that to 150 unless that's spent a lot of time in the market and isn't selling. That's a different story. That happens to us all the time in the car world. And we use a very quick turnover policy, particularly with used cars, where if something doesn't sell inside 30 days, we drop the price. If it doesn't sell inside 60 days, we drop the price again. So either we got the market price wrong, or the market conditions have changed from when we priced that car or traded that car. So it happens all the time. Now, I just wanted to show one more example, extremely popular set, which is Evolving Skies. So again, let's search for this one up on eBay here, and we'll punch in Evolving Skies booster box, and we'll go price low to high, and we'll also go Australia only. And you'll quickly see that as we scroll through, yes, there's a few auctions chilling on here, which are already north of $500. But the cheapest buy it now price for an Evolving Skies booster box is 650 Australian dollars. Now, in US dollars, what does that make it? 350, pushing 400, probably 400 US at 650 Australian, 400 US dollars. And if we keep scrolling through, it very quickly changes. $700 then becomes the next cheapest, and before you know it, if you keep scrolling through, you're up to a buy it now of 750 Australian dollars for an Evolving Skies booster box. And again, like Chilling Reign and like Champion's Path, there aren't multiples of these. This isn't a shop or a store with a $650 box and quantity of 14 of them. It's one. So once this is taken off the market, the new floor left, so to speak, is $700. Once that's taken off the market, the new floor sort of quickly becomes $750. So you can see as the months roll on, this is what should happen, given that there's still demand for these products. This is what should happen to the floor of these products. So if you look at these three, from Sword and Shield, they're almost, other than perhaps Lost Origin, I really like these three investments. The supply of what's sort of left on the market is drastically less than what it was 9 months ago. Because 9 months ago, you could still pick up in Australia, that is, Evolving Skies booster boxes for sort of 400, 450. You could pick up Chilling Reign booster boxes for 195, and they were still in stores on eBay. They weren't individual sellers. They were stores that had 30 of them in stock at 190, or 25 of them in stock at 195 with free postage. Champion's Path was still online for 110, 120 Australian, which is sort of your $70 US mark. And same thing, there were stores with still 30 of them in stock. So in 9 months, that has eroded. And if you're an investor, yes, they've already seen some appreciation and we should have bought them back then, but it's still not a bad time to buy. If you're buying at the floor of the market for sets like Champions Path at 150 Australian, which is probably about $80 US, or $85 US, if you're buying Chilling Reign, 300 sounds harsh for that in Australian dollars, because it's, but I can guarantee you, it'll still tick up. It'll quickly become, your 300 buy it now will quickly become 350 before you know it. Evolving Skies at 650, again, yes, we feel like we might have missed the train, so to speak, but it's still not, I still don't think it's a bad investment at 650. And to back that point up even more, if we look at these sort of sets, so Team Up, Cosmic, even Unbroken Bonds and Unified Minds, look what they're doing now that the supply is heavily, heavily eroded. If someone buys out the floor in that free market economy, the seller doesn't want to let it go any lower. Okay, so I've got the second cheapest Cosmic Eclipse. This is what a seller could say. I've got the second cheapest Cosmic Eclipse booster box on the market. Okay, someone goes onto eBay and goes, price low to high, which is what everyone does. I always do it. That's how you shop, especially if you're looking for a bargain as a buyer. So someone buys the cheapest one. Then all of a sudden, you've now got the cheapest one. So maybe in Australian dollars, you had your Cosmic Eclipse booster box listed at $17.50, but someone else had theirs listed at $16.50. Those prices in US dollars is sort of, maybe someone had theirs listed at $1,050 and someone had theirs listed at $950 US dollars. All of a sudden, the $950 box sells, and in Australian dollars, the $16.50 box sells, and you're now left with the cheapest box in the market. You're not going to drop your price to $16.50. You now hold the cheapest price at the floor, so to speak. So as you can see, that's like, now that the supply has gone to those sets, Champions Path, Chilling Reign, Evolving Skies. So Champions Path is out of rotation. Evolving Skies, Chilling Reign still in it. This isn't a pump up for those 3 sets, by the way. I'm not saying go invest in those 3 sets. This is just the example of what will happen to the floor of the market, so to speak, once it enters that free sort of economy and it's gone from shop fronts, it's gone from online stores, the distributor saying this is the price that I'm going to sell it to the online store or local store for, and therefore them putting, you know, their margin 10%, 20% on top and having to sell at that price, that's gone on these sets. And it's extremely likely that it's not a Champions Path done, Chilling Reign, Evolving Skies, so unlikely. And if they do get a small reprint, I just cannot see it really having much of an impact on them at all. So my point is, those sets should follow a similar trend because they're both, or all 3 of them are really solid sets. They should follow a similar trend to what we've seen in some of the latter Sun and Moon sets. So even though they've already had a pump up in price, I don't think they're bad buys where they currently sit. If you've got any comments, if you want to enlighten me further with some knowledge that you might have regarding that sort of, you know, buying and sellers relationship in the market, please let me know down below. I hope this has been informative for you. I'll catch you guys next time. Thanks heaps.